Yo, what's up guys? It's Dynasty and we're 10 days away from the digital release of the Mortal Kombat Legacy Collection. Can you believe that? I feel like just the other day we were reacting to the PlayStation Showcase where it got revealed. Time flies, man. 10 days. A little bit over a week and this game will be in our hands. Digitally. Physicals, December 12th. But nonetheless, got for you guys some more news about, you guessed it, Mortal Kombat Legacy Collection. Today, Digital Eclipse actually shared, I want to say for the very first time, a screenshot of the original Game Boy palette option for the handheld port of Mortal Kombat 2. In all the trailers that we've seen over the last 2-3 months, I want to say the only time we actually see any real Game Boy gameplay for like the OG Game Boy games like Mortal Kombat 1 per se. Maybe like 3 or 4 seconds of that in its Game Boy Pocket gray palette. I should have some gameplay here in the background. As far as I know, this is like the only footage out of the 2, 3, 4 trailers we've seen, again, over the last couple months, but that changes today, and funny enough, just a couple of days ago, they were teasing this idea that for the handheld ports of all these games that are in the Legacy Collection, we could essentially kind of sort of like simulate settings to give us that display as if we were playing on an OG Game Boy, a Game Boy Pocket, a Game Boy Color, you name it. Stephen Frost actually confirmed there's even a Game Boy Light palette option, which is super exciting. And I believe for all of these handheld filters, you can even turn on like some ghosting, aka I believe it's called phosphor decay, which essentially makes it seem like the pixels are like burning in and out of the screen again to kind of simulate like you're playing these handheld games on the OG hardware. Super exciting stuff. So yeah, today, finally getting to see the OG Game Boy greenish tint, and it looks pretty awesome. As for other things we're going to discuss today, the Digital Eclipse content editor, who is my biggest fan, also confirmed that Goro is going to be playable in the Game Boy version of Mortal Kombat, which is exciting. And the cool thing about this is, like they keep saying with their motto, no more secrets. You can use Goro with ease. I'm pretty sure initially you had to use like a Game Shark or you had to beat the arcade game. Then from there, you had to actually wait for like the credits and then do like a button combination, if I'm not mistaken, and that would kind of unlock Goro for full play on the ladder, which if you've not seen Goro gameplay on the Game Boy version of MK, it's a lot of Shokin jumps, man. It's interesting. Honestly, I hadn't actually seen Game Boy Mortal Kombat gameplay in a minute, and after seeing a couple minutes of it, I take back my request to actually play these games online. Like, obviously, I still would love that just because it would be a complete shit show, but I really don't feel like I'm missing out too much because, though at the time this kind of seemed like magic, I'm sure, to get ported on a Game Boy device, it's definitely not aged as well as I would have thought. Again, just from what I've seen, maybe in 10 days I get to play the Game Boy version of MK, and I'm like the biggest fan. I only ever grew up playing the Game Boy Advance games, like the Deadly Alliance-esque games, and those were competent, despite graphically just being super pixelated. The OG Mortal Kombat on Game Boy just looks super slow, man. It looks pretty slow, but you know what? I'm gonna stop being so harsh on it. Maybe I'll enjoy it. But yeah, you could use Goro with ease. Also, the Digital Eclipse content editor went out and actually acknowledged why we have no Sega Master System games in the collection. And it turns out that they just didn't get permission. Same for MK2 on the Game Boy Color, despite Digital Eclipse actually piecing together that port. And also, this is kind of exciting, as most of you guys do know, combat codes are like essential to Mortal Kombat when it comes to like secrets and variation of gameplay. Well, it turns out that they actually made it a lot easier to have combat codes, I'm assuming, inputted for versus mode. Again, the content editor kind of acknowledged it and said that we're gonna like how they handled that aspect of Mortal Kombat. So, long-winded intro, but that's on the agenda for today. If you guys are excited for the Legacy Collection dropping in 10 days, do your boy a solid. It takes you a second. Drop a like on the video. Hit the hype button because apparently it helps out the channel. I love you guys. Thank you for sticking with me throughout all the hype of Legacy Collection. With that said, let's start breaking down some of the topics for today. So first things first, again, I believe this could very well be our very first look at Mortal Kombat 2 on the Game Boy in the Legacy Collection. Digital Eclipse came out and said MK2 for the Game Boy is an absolute triumph, and fans who may have never played it may be very surprised at how much the original developers achieved. Again, I've never played this in my life. I'm open-minded and trust it's definitely a bit faster than Mortal Kombat 1 on the Game Boy, so in 10 days, I'll let you know how I truly feel about this, but I'm just glad to, again, see this green palette, full HD. Stephen Frost actually came out and said it's pretty amazing how good the Game Boy version of Mortal Kombat 2 actually is. The OG dev team must have been magicians, so here it is in all of its glory. We have Scorpion throwing a spear. We have Kitana in the air. We're on the pits. Looks pretty cool. So yeah, there you go. A nice first look at Mortal Kombat 2. Game Boy ports. Really wish it was a video, but for now, I suppose a screenshot will suffice. Now, let's start the fun. We kicked off the video mentioning Goro in Mortal Kombat OG on the Game Boy. One of you guys in the community said MK1 Game Boy lets you play as Goro, and in response to this, the content editor for Digital Eclipse said, yes, we are including an option to let you skip to that if you like to do it that way. It's also noted in our interactive documentary. The world will remember Goro is playable soon, so ka-chow! There you go! For some reason, if you've never managed to actually use Goro in the OG build of Mortal Kombat on the Game Boy, in 10 days, with ease, you could get it done. Again, it's just so crazy seeing, like, Goro versus Goro, Goro versus Shang Tsung. It's, you forget, but these games are damn near 30 years old. It's nuts. This is honestly a marvel for the time, so, yeah. Maybe my first time using anybody in the Game Boy port of Mortal Kombat 1. I'll just skip everything and just go straight to Goro to, you know, flex a little bit my forearms now. Going on, though, one of you guys in the community said, why Game Gear but no Master System games in the Legacy Collection? And again, the same content editor comes out and says, we don't always get permission to include all the games we hope to include, and those were among the requests. Unfortunately, we didn't get the green light. Heck, MK4 Game Boy Color was developed by us, and we didn't get the green light for that. So at least we can now 110% confirm they asked. They asked to get more Sega games in the Legacy Collection, but who said no? Was it Sega? Was it WB? I couldn't tell you, but at least we know they asked. I still think that maybe we'll probably see MK4 Game Boy Color sometime down the line as DLC, because again, like, Digital Eclipse legit worked on that. So the fact that the people who pieced that together cannot even showcase their Mortal Kombat game in a Legacy Collection make it make sense. So much just doesn't make sense with this Legacy Collection. That makes no sense. I'm sure they're still bewildered on why they weren't allowed to even put their own Mortal Kombat game in this collection. It's just mind-boggling. Now, to round this out, I did mention earlier as well the combat codes. One of you guys asked, did you make the combat codes easier to enter in Mortal Kombat 3? Having to tap out the combinations on both controllers was pretty taxing. In response to that, we got, yes, you're going to like how we handled this in versus mode in Mortal Kombat Legacy Collection. So maybe there's a filter that gives you a description of what a certain combat code does, and you can just like turn on or off those combat codes before a match. Maybe. Again, this is dropping in 10 days and this still hasn't been showcased. Maybe it'll be part of the launch trailer. We still haven't seen the bonus content like Chronicles of the Realms, the Crypt. So intrigued to see this because, I mean, come on, we're Mortal Kombat fans. We all know, like, this is legit. This rings true. Sitting there and trying to put in all these custom codes. It's not easy, especially if you're trying to play with a friend who's really not so savvy with Mortal Kombat, and ultimately you just never get it done because you're too slow. So, I'm hoping they really did make this easy. I'm sure they did, but guys, that is all I got for y'all today. Another day of Mortal Kombat Legacy Collection news. What do you think of our first look at Mortal Kombat 2 for the Game Boy showcased in this green OG Game Boy palette option? Are you excited for all the other handheld games in the Legacy Collection? Especially because Goro can be unlocked with ease. What do you think of the response we got for us not having any Sega Master System games in the Legacy Collection? What about the combat codes? Let me know. If you guys enjoyed, drop a like, subscribe to some more MK content like this on the channel. Till next time, been your host, been Dynasty. Guys, please take care, stay safe. I love you from the bottom of my heart. Thank you for sticking with me throughout the last 3 months. It's been one hell of a time covering the Legacy Collection. I hope you guys have had fun. I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.